I was admitted to the hospital with bilateral pneumonia and acute kidney failure. I was in an isolated room that was not monitored in the emergency department. I was waiting for a bed on the floor. The call bell did not work. I was on 100% oxygen with a respiratory rate of 28 to 35 and HR of 125 to 145 bpm. I had been to a variety of tests during the day, and when I returned I was not monitored for the night. I started to have hypoxic hallucinations when I was sleeping. And I would wake up and watch bunnies chasing chipmunks all over the room. I tried calling the nurse to get help, but again, the call bell wouldn't work. I would drift off back to sleep and leave my body. I would be standing beside the stretcher. I knew that I was very close to death when I came back into my body. And I attempted to get the nurse again but couldn't. I saw the white tunnel and went through it very quickly. I exited into white light and saw a variety of beings off to the left-hand side. I told them I was not going to stop, that I was going further on. I turned to my right and found myself in utter blackness. I was very calm and remarked to myself, I guess I am dead. I thought that I should tell someone that I was dead. And headed to the nurse's station to ask them to look in room 16. I saw everyone who was on duty and told them. Then I realized that that was silly because I wasn't in a body. I was a light orb. Upon realizing this, I returned to the void. I then thought about who I should tell, and I thought of my mother who was wintering in Harlingen, Texas. As soon as I thought this, I saw a window appear before me with a man and woman sleeping on a bed. I entered the window and stared down at them. There was no emotion and I didn't feel any attachment to them. I said to the woman, well, I just thought that I should tell you that I have died and I will be going on. Then I went back through the window into the void. Back in the void I wondered what to do next. I wanted to make sure that this really was the void. I went to the left and then to the right. Then I went up farther, but everywhere I went I was just there. There was no way to reference where I was. I could only see darkness in 360 degrees. As I looked into the darkness I had a feeling that I was glowing, but I couldn't be sure. As I looked into the blackness, I would catch glimpses of a blue grid. But the blue was so dark that it seemed to blend in with the blackness. I thought of all the places I could go and all the things I could do. As I thought, they appeared before me in little windows or television screens that were almost holographic. The images moved and had life to them. I started to think of everything I knew about the void and that it was all things potentially, but nothing materially. As I thought that the view exploded around me with little windows in 360 degrees into infinity. I was overwhelmed, so I thought that I would not make a decision right then but wait here until I could make a choice. I then started to wonder who I was. Was I secondary consciousness, self, or my primary consciousness, my higher self? As I asked a question, I heard a voice by my right side. This was roughly where my right ear would be if I had a body. It said, "Who do you want to be?" I stepped forward and said immediately, "I will always be a student of Ramtha the Enlightened One." As I said that, I noticed that the windows decreased in number from all around me. I wondered if anyone had found my body and if I was ready to move on to another place. I looked back down to my body. As I did so, I saw my friends and family having to deal with my house and property, and the stress of doing this on them. I knew that I had responsibilities to go back and deal with things that were unfinished. I didn't want to go back, but I took a big sigh and said, "Okay, I will go back." I woke up in my body. I was in rough shape and my condition had worsened considerably. But this time, the call bell worked and I was able to get the nurse to come. I ended up being transferred to the intensive care unit. I stayed there for 10 days on a breathing machine.